What's up, guys? Robbie Reyes here. This is going to be my first look and analysis of this Krogan Mercenary. I'm going to be taking all my knowledge of Mass Effect 3 multiplayer and this game and trying to figure out what I think the final optimal gold build will be. Is this going to be the final optimal gold build? No, fuck no. I got to play him, I got to test him and everything like that. And I got to get your guys' opinions and what you guys know that I don't know too. But after we're done discussing and after I'm done getting this guy to level 20, I will be uploading the optimal level 20 Krogan Mercenary build and gameplay on gold. For now, let's take a look at the powers. Okay, he's got Flamethrower, Fortify, and Flat Cannon. Right off the back, I'm seeing a problem, guys. Flamethrower is setting enemies up. Fortify is setting enemies up if you spec for it. And Flat Cannon is not a detonating power. It doesn't say anywhere this power is detonating. So, you're setting people on fire, you're setting people up for tech burst if you spec for that, and you are not getting any detonations from it. So, everything we do, we're going to have to assume is going to be just based on fucking up the enemies inherently with these powers. Can you have teammates detonating for you? Of fucking course you can have teammates detonating for you. But right off the bat, are you going to be detonating for yourself? Doesn't look like it, guys. So, again, remember, we're trying to come up with the best build we can possibly put together for gold. So, keeping that in mind, remember, you don't get points to put in every single thing you want. Wouldn't it be great if you could just max out every single tree? You know, not going to happen. Something's got to bite the bullet. So we're going to find the weakest link. Doesn't mean what we spec out of is bad. It just means that something has to go. Another thing I will say is, remember, I'm trying to put together the optimal gold build. Not bronze, not silver. It's going to be the gold build. So, yeah. Getting to the powers, guys. Fortify. Yeah, we'll look at that next. We'll look at Flamethrower first. So this in Mass Effect 3, you probably all love this power. This kind of just took over the game once they started buffing Flamer. It was called Flamer in Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, and it just made a lot of the game a joke, basically, because you could just annihilate big rooms of enemies so easily. It was a cooldown power. It wasn't even like a grenade. You didn't have to go pick them up. You could just turn it on and just annihilate every fucking thing in the room. I mean, and at first it didn't do this, but later on they buffed it so it would set up a fire explosion. Holy shit. Setting up every goddamn motherfucker in the room for a fire explosion and do so much damage, this power was phenomenal. In addition to the incendiary ammo glitch in Mass Effect 3, where you could set them all on fire, then shoot at them with Inferno rounds and get the most ridiculous fucking DPS you've seen. Yeah, this was a good power. Getting into this one, at base, we're going to get sustained damage per second, 225. That's pretty high, guys. Burn damage per second, 120, also pretty high. It's on them for 5 seconds. Get a little more to armor, 25%, and 12-second recharge speed. So, not bad. Getting into here, we're going to pick up a little bit more of this shit. Get a little more recharge, a little more damage. Damage versus recharge speed. One thing I'm going to bitch about right off the bat, it's not telling me the range of this power. I don't fucking know how far this flamer is going to reach. I haven't played this guy yet. Maybe you guys can tell me. I'm assuming it's not that goddamn far. It's not going to be like the cryo beam. It's not going to go across the goddamn map. It's going to be a pretty close range power, especially just watching this little clip here. So that is a problem, guys. That was one of the biggest problems with Flamer in Mass Effect 3. The range wasn't that good. Once they buffed the range, that power got really, really good. So looking at damage versus recharge speed, tough to say. Basically, what you got to understand is recharge speed in general is a great evolution for when you're trying to do all kinds of combos, because your damage is coming from your combos and not the power itself. That's just a general rule of thumb. Does that always apply? No. But in general, recharge speed helps you get your combos off faster if your combo is your primary source of damage. Is this going to be a combo build? No. You can't detonate, so it's not going to be, unless you have teammates. So I'm probably thinking I would go damage. Damage radius increases the flamethrower's range. Isn't that fucking nice? Now tell me how long the inherent range is, guys. Then I can... God, really, guys. I mean, you put a power and you're really not going to tell me how far it goes, and then you're going to give me an evolution that says I'm increasing the range. 50% more from what? How do I know if it's good yet? You got to play with them. That's the answer. So 25% damage over time, 50% duration. Straight talk, I can't fucking tell you yet. I got to play with him and see. Is 50% going to be worth it, or is the damage going to be worth it? Inherently, I'm thinking this is guy's a Krogan. Fortify is a pretty close range power. If I'm going to be using the detonation ability of it, he's tanky. He can get close. So I may want to not get this, but more than likely I will, just to spread the pain to as many people as possible. Because this says radius, and then it tells me it also increases the range. So go figure, guys. I mean, they just do not like being clear in these skill trees. Damage over time versus 50% duration. Duration would be good, and the damage would be good. So like I said, if it's got a good range already and a good radius already, we'll skip out of that and we'll go for this. One thing I will say is, if this is like Mass Effect 3, you don't just aim it at one guy and let it be stuck on them. You can kind of aim your hand around and hit as many people as you want. So, and you are Krogan, so you can take damage if you want to just stand there and keep it out for a long duration. So you are tough enough to do that. Characters like the Vorcha in Mass Effect 3 multiplayer had to kind of be a little more bursty with their flamer attacks. They couldn't just stand there and tank all day because they would get dropped. Even though they had bloodlust to get their health back, they weren't actual tanks in that sense. They couldn't take insane burst damage. Then the Geth Trooper came out and he was ridiculous. He could do that. Think of this guy like a Geth Trooper, basically. Final evolution, damage output from enemies on fire is reduced by 50%. That's a very interesting evolution, guys. That's very interesting. There's a lot. The devs got very creative with a lot of these power evolutions. Some of this creativity you didn't see in Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. Something like this is really, we didn't see stuff like this in Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. Sometimes I see these evolutions and it makes my head turn. I'm like, wow, some thought went into this. So, yeah, would you rather get 50% armor damage, or would you rather get damage output from enemies on fire is reduced by 50%? What they're saying basically is, do you want to stand out there longer, putting on your flamer, or do you want to do more damage in a short period of time against armor? To me, I'm thinking the armor, because this is already a Krogan and I have fortification on. Fuck that shit. Fortify, damage resistance versus movement speed penalty, sprint speed penalty. Honestly, guys, the way I'm feeling about using fortification, I've used it on a couple characters now. I feel like the dodging power is so fast in this game that I'm not even really bothered when my movement speed and my sprint speed is affected by fortification, because you can dodge so fast and it's basically as fast as sprinting, if not. So I don't really see the point of these evolutions too much. I'd probably have that rather, so you can stand there and flame all day. Shield regen bonus, yeah, hell yeah, because you don't have any other way to get your shield back, so I would definitely recommend this, to sit there and flame all day. Damage resistance accumulated. So this is where it gets tough, guys. Do you want to set up Tech Burst 2? Is it going to help you? No, because you can't really detonate them, but will you be draining shield and making your flamer good? Yeah, this is going to drain the shields and make your flamer good. But for me, I'm thinking putting disruptor rounds on this guy and just running around flamethrowing the shit out of everything and being a tank. I wonder if the Acolyte's in this game, like in Mass Effect 3, because that would be great on this guy. But in general, take any gun you want, just put disruptor rounds on and flame the shit out of everything. Is this good? Is this a lot of fun on the Krogan Vanguard? Yes. Would I fuck with it on the Turian Soldier? No, because he just needs to sit there and shoot his gun and tank. Same deal with this guy. I don't have any way to detonate this. I'm just going to be flaming all day. So I got to have a way to drop shields, so that does make this have some utility. But in general, you may even want to put less points in this power inherently so you can max out these other bad boys. Let's take a look at Flak Cannon. Area damage, area force versus power. Okay, so this is used like a grenade. Initial, let's read it. Initial damage 180, shrapnel damage 75, power cell capacity, shrapnel damage versus armor. Okay, so you do less damage versus armor. Pretty low damage actually, just because if you compare it to like the other nades in this game, unless I'm not understanding something about the shrapnel, let's read it. Desired shell burst in the shrapnel damage is reduced against armor. I don't understand what these numbers are trying to tell me. Initial damage 180, shrapnel damage 75. How many things of shrapnel are there? Okay, I see what you're saying. So the initial shot does 180, and then all these little shrapnels come out that do more damage. I actually really want to take this power on my human Vanguard in the campaign, because it would make him like a proper human vanguard with Nova, Charge, and we don't have Carnage in this game, but this power is a lot like Carnage. So I think this would be really fun on the human vanguard. And especially since it doesn't use a power recharge. It's just a grenade. This could be a lot of fun on the human vanguard. Because you remember, the human vanguard is meant to be like a soldier slash biotic in a close range way. So this is what I'm probably going to do on my human vanguard for the campaign. Anyways, end of that side note. Well, the video's getting long. Yeah, I'd probably go for more damage in area force. I'm hoping that at some point we get some kind of nade capacity gear for the, like in the same slot we get Jug Shield. That will make it ridiculous. So it's kind of just about being patient until then. Stun duration briefly stuns enemies, increases. I'd probably go for the damage to armor versus stunning the enemies. Stunning the enemies is nice. It would be really good to fire this off, stun them all so they're not shooting at you, and then flame them. But in general, this guy seems really tanky, guys. It's not really going to be too big a deal. But let's see. 50% more shrapnel explosions, damage per second, damage duration. Shrapnel inflicts additional damage over time. 50% more shrapnel explosions. This guy's really kind of set up to be a damage over time kind of dude. 50% more shrapnel explosion. I prefer burst damage over time always, so I may pick this one, but whoops. We'll have to see. I mean, we'll have to see. Munitions training. I'm going to go all power damage, get the capacity. I'm going to pick the, if we do spec in. Don't really need this too much. Not going to use your gun a lot. Like I said, my initial instinct is to use some kind of disruptor rounds and just play them like that. Take down shields with the gun and just flame the shit out of everything else. But it's not going to be just that easy because remember, you do have a much bigger recharge time in this game than you did in Mass Effect 3. In Mass Effect 3, you could turn the flamer on every fucking 5 minutes if you wanted to. Every 5 seconds, split second, you could turn it on. In this game, it's going to take longer. You do have the flak cannon. Munitions train, yeah, so the gun damage could help you. Weapon reloads, that doesn't really matter too much in this guy, to be honest. I'd probably rather get that. Defense debuff per shot. Honestly, this stuff is not looking... I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying this might have to bite the bullet so you can get points into these bad boys. Your gun is going to be important, though, because you do need to, you're not always going to be flaming and flak canning. Rage. I'm going to go all for health and shield. This guy, I don't see the point of going melee. You already got flamer. You already got fly. You got good damaging powers. But they're kind of close powers. So you need stuff that's going to keep you alive and let the power shine. And it makes sense because this is the Krogan Mercenary. He's not like the what do you call it? The Krogan Vanguard. He's not set up to really be a melee kind of dude. He's got no other incentive to do melees besides the fact that Krogan. If he had some kind of, fortify, I guess. But if he had like energy drain or if he had anything else, then you might have an incentive. But this is basically a Krogan soldier, guys. That's what this is. This is the Krogan soldier in this game. In the old game, he got fortification, Inferno grenades, and Carnage. This guy gets, instead of Inferno grenades, flamethrower. Instead of fortification, he gets fortify. Instead of Carnage, he gets flak cannon. Okay, that's what they did. So he's a soldier. He's not meant to be running around mailing. He's meant to be, using these powers to just decimate the enemies in a very Krogan fucking fashion. So yeah, do I wish the flak cannon detonated flamethrower? Hell fucking yes. That would be the most badass thing ever to just get that crazy. Imagine, you'd set up all the enemies with this flamer, tons of enemies set up for fire explosions, and detonate them with flak cannon. That would be super fun. It might be worth it to get this, but honestly, I've used it, and it's not doing enough damage to shields for me. Not enough to shields. It's doing good damage to shields, but not enough. Let's see, guys. Right now, it's looking like you're going to be able to spec a little bit of points out of munitions training and a little bit out of fortify. Flamethrower, you got to max that. Flak cannon, you got to max that. Rage, actually, it's kind of between fortify and rage. What do we get in rage? Just health bonuses. Do we get anything that's going to help our powers? Not really. You could go meleeing on this guy if you want to, but for me, I'm thinking right now it's going to be all about this shit. Just using these powers and being able to stay alive and be tanky while I'm using these powers. But you guys tell me what you think. Is there something you know that I don't know? Is there something I missed? You let me know in the comments, and we will come up with the optimal gold build, and I will bring him back to you at level 20, ready to kick some ass. Alright guys, you have a great day. Be sure to rate, like, comment, subscribe if you did enjoy this and you want to see more builds, more gameplay, more gun reviews, everything Mass Effect Andromeda. Have a great day, guys.